$578 million gone in 18 days. Two of the biggest DeFi protocols in the world drained. One on Solana, one on Ethereum. Both are household names and both considered among the safest in the space. And if you were just trying to earn a boring 4% yield on your stablecoins, you got caught in the blast radius of a hack on a protocol that you don't even use. North Korea didn't break the code, they broke the people running it. Today, we're asking the only question that actually matters. Are we next? Before we get into the damage, let me tell you where I actually live in this space. I use this stuff every day. Jupiter and Titan give you better execution than a centralized exchange can offer. Camino, Loopscale, Sanctum, Flash Trade, and Jito let you earn, yield, trade perps, stake, and borrow against your assets without asking anyone for permission. That's not marketing. That's what's been working. And then April happened. April 1st, 2026, Drift Protocol. $285 million. North Korean operatives spent roughly 6 months targeting Drift before they made a move. They posed as a quant trading firm. They showed up at conferences. They built relationships with contributors. Then they got a few signers to approve transactions they didn't fully understand. 6 months to set it up, 12 minutes to drain the protocol. More than 20 protocols affected. Over 128,000 users caught in the blast. April 18th, 2026, Kelp DAO, $293 million. 17 days later, different chain, different methods, same shape. A bridge misconfiguration let an attacker mint worthless tokens, post them as collateral on Aave to borrow real assets. Aave ate $177 million in bad debt from a token that shouldn't have even existed. $6 billion in withdrawals in 48 hours, Aave token down 18%. And here's the part that should stop you cold. The smart contracts worked, the audits were clean, the vulnerabilities were a developer's laptop, a rush signer, a cheap config setting. DPRK isn't hunting code bugs anymore, they're hunting people. This is the part that matters for the whole crypto narrative. Ethereum has spent the last 2 years positioning as the serious chain, the institutional chain, the boring chain where real money lives. Last week, Raoul Pal said that the entire banking system will run on Ethereum, and Aave was the poster child, the DeFi protocol every institutional pitch deck would use as proof that this stuff works. The entire banking system is going to run on Ethereum, they said. Then a single bridge setting took $177 million off Aave's balance sheet in 48 hours. Somebody tell Goldman. 2 months before this, on February 25th, Aave hit $1 trillion in cumulative lending. Stani's victory lap was everywhere. He called Aave the backbone of on-chain lending. 60 days later, that backbone is absorbing bad debt from a token it never should have touched. And now Ansem is out saying that you can short ETH to $1,000 by year end. That the core ETH thesis is deteriorating. And you know what? Before the hack, I would have pushed back. Boring DeFi that works is actually a decent value prop. That's the real version of Raoul's Microsoft analogy. Nobody gets fired for using Microsoft. ETH was supposed to be crypto's Microsoft. Old, boring, and it works. But does it? Here's where I get stuck. Raoul said the entire banking system is going to run on ETH. Does a take like that survive a week like this one? Maybe it was never right. Maybe it was a top signal. Either way, Ansem's short call doesn't sound as crazy today as it did last Monday. When a hack this big lands, the question isn't just what protocols do, it's what the foundations behind those chains do. Solana Foundation, 5 days after Drift, they announced Stride. Foundation funded 24/7 operational security for protocols over 10 million TVL. Foundation funded formal verification for protocols over 100 million. No rollback, no rewrite of the chain. Fund the infrastructure, keep the ledger honest. Compare that to how Ethereum has handled its biggest hacks historically. 2016, the DAO hack, roughly $50 million stolen. 97% of the Ethereum network voted to hard fork the chain. They literally rewrote history. They rolled back the blockchain, returned the funds, and created Ethereum Classic in the process. 2017, the parity multi-sig bug, $150 million permanently frozen. Different call this time. The foundation declined the hard fork. That 150 mil is still frozen today, almost 9 years later. 2 hacks, same foundation, opposite outcomes. Ethereum's answer to what do we do when DeFi breaks has never really been consistent. Solana's play with Stride is narrower and I think more honest. You can't promise a rollback. You can't promise safety. What you can do is fund the humans and the tools that make the next attack harder. Here's the benchmark that you should actually feel good about. Smart contract security was not the issue here. It's at the top of the stack. Aave, Drift, Camino, Morpho, best audit firms, multi-million-dollar bug bounties, battle tested through multiple cycles. The code works. The problem is the attackers have moved on from the code. Chainalysis puts North Korea's all-time crypto theft at $6.75 billion through 2025. 2025 alone was $2 billion, a 51% year-over-year jump. They spent 6 months on Drift. They pulled the $1.5 billion Bybit heist. In February 2025, they ran the Radiant Capital hack in 2024 with almost the same playbook. This one hits close to home. On January 31st this year, Step Finance was hit the exact same way, and over $30 million was drained. I watched it happen. I sat on the sideline unable to do anything. It's a terrible feeling. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Now, this is the new frontier. We've got a fake quant firm with a LinkedIn page, a conference booth, and a 6-month plan. Every protocol that you use has a security council somewhere. Every security council has humans with laptops. We're not immune. Nobody is. Let me land on the one that actually hits home for retail. Robinhood Gold is paying 3.35% APY on cash. FDIC insured up to $2.5 million. Aave stablecoin yields are sitting around 3 to 5% depending on utilization. The spread is maybe 100 basis points. For that spread, you are underwriting smart contract risk, Oracle risk, governance risk, bridge risk, composability risk, stablecoin issuer risk, and now nation-state attacker risk. Reading that list out loud is crazy. And tell me that this is a fair trade. Here's the hot take. If you're lending stables at 3 to 5% while absorbing all 7 of those risks, you're not really an investor. You're closer to a donor. You're underwriting somebody else's upside at retail prices. And honestly, maybe the real take is this. On-chain lending might not be a retail product. Maybe it's a protocol-to-protocol product, institutions borrowing from institutions with risk that they can actually model. The dream of grandma earning 8% on her savings through DeFi was always a little off. The person who gets wiped out in these hacks is the one who is trying to be responsible, not the degen on a leverage fall. The person looking for a boring 4% yield who got caught in a blast radius from a protocol that they never used. Total funds stolen in crypto in 2026 so far is sitting at $771 million across 12 incidents. Ugly, but 2025 had $3.4 billion stolen, and Bybit alone was $1.5 billion of that. Now, short term, this is scary, and it should be, but we've been through worse, and we're actually on pace for a quieter year this year than last. Here's where I've landed. It feels like DeFi is dead on one hand, but on the other hand, it has never worked better. Both are true. In the long term, this is probably a speed bump in DeFi's rise because of everything that's already built. In the short term, there is so much doom and gloom that I find myself agreeing with Ansem on ETH, even if I don't want to. The value prop was boring DeFi that works, and this month it didn't. One last thing. Last night, the Arbitrum Security Council froze roughly $71 million in ETH, traced to the Kelp hacker. 9 out of 12 members voted yes. Some people cheered North Korea doesn't get to keep the money. The decentralization maxis are not cheering. They have a point. If 12 signers can freeze a hacker's wallet, those 12 signers can freeze any wallet. Now, that's the big question that we are going to explore in part 2. Did DeFi just rug a hacker, or did DeFi just admit that it has a freeze button?